Poker is becoming very popular nowadays. It's crossing boundaries, it's crossing age barriers, religion, gender. Like there's so many wonderful ladies that now play this game. And I think partly is because it reflects so much the attitude and the characteristics that we have in life, all combined in a very exciting short intervals, rather than spending 80 years to experience all this excitement, anxiety, and drama. You could do it in a very short few hours with your friends, with your enemies, or with people you don't know, whether it's the setting is online or it's in your house or in a casino. It doesn't matter what the hand is, you got to be grateful for it. Because if it's a bad hand, you're grateful that you're not going to play that hand and lose money. And if it's a good hand, you're grateful that you're dealt a good hand and potentially successfully you could enter the game and actually win. So success. Either way, you should leave your emotions at home. Play the hand as it's dealt with the best of your ability and be grateful that you're having an opportunity to enjoy the game. Don't take a loss and carry it over to the next game. Are you able to choose the people you want to play with? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. It's always best if you could select the people you want to play with, because you could choose people that are of the same caliber. You know them. You could see where they come from emotionally and how they play the game, how aggressive they are. So all that insight and information could help you strategize your poker game and increase your odds of winning by risk management. Sometimes you're not lucky. You're thrown at a table that you don't know people. If you have a chance to observe these people and get to know them, take that chance. Just sit around or stand behind a table, observe the people that are playing, see if you could trace characteristics that would help you in playing the game. So much also is true in the game of life. If you spend time ahead of time to get to know your partner, your business associates, your friends, that also helps you to make better relationship management, develop your skills that would help you in nourishing those relationships and also increasing your odds of benefiting those relationships. It might not look like it because most poker players are aggressive, they're rowdy, they have a big opinion of themselves, and that's not usually how they come across, a humble person. But poker for me has been a humbling experience, and it's funny that I have a very good friend that is actually in the field of research of psychedelics. And when I asked him, what is the main experience you had in psychedelics and in the research you're doing with psychedelics and talking to people, and he said, the best thing I could describe about psychedelics, it's an ego-shattering process, or the outcome is that your ego gets shattered. And I thought, wow, this is a lesson that I learned in poker. It doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter how well you play the game. There's always an element of luck. People who play poker have experienced this. You have the absolutely amazing hand, and some guy just keeps chasing you, and the last card, he makes it. He gets a flush. And there goes your 2 aces and 2 kings with a queen. This experience, if you've had it, will teach you a valuable lesson. And the lesson being that there are other forces in play. And then you have to take it with a bit of a stride that luck is involved and is out of your control. So you control what you can and you accept what you cannot. Gratitude for the hands that I folded, and gratitude for the hands that I didn't fold, I lost. Gratitude for the hands that I wish I wouldn't have folded, and gratitude for the hands that I did not fold and I won. Why gratitude? Why having a grateful attitude toward this game? It's simply because you don't control the outcome, and the regret is always there. And same in life and business. People regret the deal they didn't make. People regret the house they didn't buy 10 years ago and appreciated in price 3-folds. Also, people are happy that they didn't join a venture that went bankrupt. People are happy they were not on a bus that hit the wall. People were not happy or are happy that they didn't take a holiday. It rained every week. So our life is full of decisions that we have either made or not made, and back, well, you have very little time and limited information to make correct and good decision. Somewhere in my management books long time ago, I think I read a story that the conclusion of it was that people who make a decision are better off than people who never make a decision. Whether that decision was right or wrong, it really doesn't matter, because over time, making decision is more important. So in a poker game, you cannot just enter every hand just because you want to participate in the game. You have to make a decision which game to enter, how to enter it, and how much you're willing to risk for that game. Same in life. You need to gather your information, you need to observe, you need to evaluate yourself, and make a decision that is comfortable for you and you could live with it. Remember, if you're risk averse, make sure your decision does not affect you in the worst case scenario in a negative way. I always look at the worst possible outcome. And if I could live with that, I proceed. And if it's just not comfortable for me and I'm not happy with it and I'm going to regret it, I try to avoid the decision of entering that particular hand or a venture in life. But more than often, I prefer to enter a decision, enter a venture, enter a hand when I've done enough calculations and enough study and I could live with the risk. And the risk is what I need. So if it's end of the game and I have won money, if somebody calls me for an all-in game, I feel nervous. Same. I would not go all in the last hand because I could risk losing what I won. Same in life. If you have accumulated a reasonable amount of wealth and you're comfortable and you're in retirement age, I wouldn't enter a venture that potentially I could lose all of it. A portion of it might be at risk, but most of it should be saved and should be very carefully dealt with and managed. So, the art of decision-making in life and in poker, first evaluate your circumstances, evaluate your capabilities, evaluate your wish and what you want to end up, and timing, where you are in life, where you're in the game, and take a risk accordingly. When you're sitting on a table, circumstances change. You had a winning hand, you won a few hands, cards were dealt nicely, and then all of a sudden you hit a dry season. There's nothing happening. You're getting bad cards. And a lot of people are inclined to change seats. They're inclined to pray. They become superstitious. They rob their little bunny, or they flip a coin, or they bring in their silver dollar that's been lucky in the last game they played. People need to face changes. Change is not a bad thing. Change is a part of life and is a part of a game of a poker. Inside all of us, there are two wolves. These wolves are hungry. One wolf is totally evil. It's greedy, it's angry, miserable, envious, resentment is all over it, and totally evil. On the other side, there's another wolf, also hungry, but is kind, loving, joyful, and full of love and peace. He continues with the story and says our emotions and our happiness really depends on which of these wolves we'll feed. If we feed the hungry wolf, that's envious, that's evil, and that's greedy, that's the wolf that take over and will win the battle. If you feed the nice, friendly, joyful wolf that's full of joy and life, that's the wolf that's gonna win. So the simple lesson from this story is we have the control of which emotions we feed and which reactions we respond to. You're constantly exposed to challenges that take energy because you have to deal with emotions of anticipation, anxiety, in the process of decision making, whether you're going to make the right or wrong decision and the consequences of those decisions. So it's a roller coaster of good and bad, of the excitements, anticipating, regrets, whether you made the right decision, as well as a little bit of greed and things that make you want to leave the table and things that want you to stay on the table. Emotional intelligence and how you deal with your emotions is an ability that you slowly develop. Again, It's very important to get prepared on that table, to be able to let go, to recognize your emotions and learn how to deal with it. Don't let people intimidate you on the table. Some people, by using verbs, vocabulary, sentences, try to offend you because that makes you be off balance. When you're emotionally unbalanced, that's when you make bad decisions. That's when you don't make good decisions. And that's definitely not in your advantage. It could be fun when you're sitting in a cafe and see people go by. And it could be fun in a party. And it could be fun at the poker table. But you need to pay attention and need to learn something. It's a bit of an education and a bit of entertainment. So I guess we could call it edutainment. But you have to be careful when you do this, because people might not quite understand your motive, especially your partner might get the wrong idea that you're being too detailed. So be careful on that note. But on a more serious note, a better way to get to know people, if you want to really know their attitude and their characteristic, is to observe them under not routine situations, but under rather difficult situations. Because a lot of time the true color comes. I always remember an old saying that my grandmother used to say, and it was that best way to learn about people or get to know them is when you travel with them. Because when you travel, you're exposed to different circumstances, you're exposed to fun, you're exposed to planning, you're exposed to different environments, and how you react to those things is a true reflection of who you are. Same on the game, when you're at a table in a game, you get to see people when they're winning, when they're losing, when they're not sure, if they're risk averse, if they're there to have fun, or if they're simply there to make the best out of a hand and win money and walk away. So your strategy and how you deal with it is basically your skills in observing those traits and characteristics to allow you make decisions. I'm going to recite a prayer that I really like, and I think everybody, regardless if they play poker or not, should write it somewhere and read it every day. And that's how it goes. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoy one moment at a time, and taking this world as it is. To me, really, this is where all begin and ends. Whether you play poker or you don't play poker, love yourself. You're good enough. Enjoy it. Nowadays, there's an expression that I like to use, and it's gamification. So gamify your life. Give yourself points. Points for participation, just for being there, for making decisions. Give yourself a slack when things don't go your way. Don't get overjoyed if things go well. Win what you could handle. Lose what you could afford. Enjoy every moment of it, one game at a time, one day at a time. When you play a game of poker, basically the number of cards, how they're dealt, and what the possible outcomes are, already are there. It's the science of the game. There's so many cards. Each card, the chances of them being repeated is known. So get to know the science. Get to know the math behind a poker game. If you have 2 cards in your hand suited, do a simple calculations. When the flop comes and you see the other 3 cards, quickly you would know at best what is the statistic of something that you need to have will happen. And if the chances are not there, or the chances are not working in your favor, make a decision of not to proceed. Don't outsmart and outguess the statistics and the facts. Yes, luck is there, luck could happen. But take my word for it. Rely on the facts, rely on the science. You fare better.